Today we are making seasoned black beans. I am borrowing this recipe from Lulu the Baker. I'll be sure to link the original recipe down below, but I am cutting this recipe in half. The original recipe has us using two 15-ounce cans of black beans, so I'm just using one. And the recipe does not tell us to drain them, so I didn't. You can drain them if you want. As you'll see later on in the video, the black beans look really watery, but as they cool, and especially if you have leftovers, they do thicken up. So just keep that in mind. I'm not turning my heat on to my saucepan yet, but add your black beans to a medium saucepan. Next, we need a 1/3 cup of chicken broth. I'm using a chicken base, a chicken bouillon, so I'm just going to take the amount of chicken base and the amount of water I would need to make a 1/3 cup of chicken broth. If you are using a chicken base or a chicken bouillon, don't worry about dissolving it in water because it will heat up and have the chance to dissolve once we heat up this recipe. Next, time for our spices. I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can always wait until the end to add the salt. The chicken bouillon is going to add a little bit of salt. I'm going to add an 1/8 teaspoon of cumin, an 1/8 teaspoon of coriander, and an 1/8 teaspoon of dried oregano. Then I'm going to add in a little bit of black pepper and stir that all up. I'm going to turn my stove on to medium-high heat, and we're going to bring this to a simmer. So we're going to bring this to a simmer. Be sure to stir it occasionally, keep an eye on it. As you can see here too, it looks really watery, and at this point I was wishing I would have drained my black beans, but trust the process. If you want to drain them, go ahead and do so. If not, it'll thicken up as they cool. But once your black beans come to a simmer, we're going to turn the heat down just enough to keep it simmering while the lid is on. So we're going to simmer the black beans for 10 to 15 minutes or until the black beans are tender. If you don't mind the chew of the black beans, you could go ahead and enjoy this right now, but I am going to simmer them and it will just soften up the beans. This is after 10 minutes. I'm going to give my beans a stir. They haven't done a lot of thickening up at this point, which is to be expected. And so in order to let some more of the liquid evaporate, I did decide to let them keep simmering for 5 more minutes. I did not taste the texture of the beans because that just wasn't what I was worried about. So here we are after 5 more minutes. So we've simmered them for a full 15 minutes. I'm going to give them a stir. So once your black beans are as tender as you want them to be, I'm going to add the juice of half a lime. So my limes were a little old, and this first one was dried up. So in giving a second one a go, I got my juice. And I know it looks yellow in the video, but it is a lime. And stir that in. And then you can go ahead and turn your heat off, and your beans are ready to serve. I think you could use these as a protein substitute, or something that I've tried that may seem a little strange but I think is so delicious is rice topped with these black beans, topped with avocado. Not guacamole. I don't like the acid that it brings, but just the carbohydrate, the rice, the starch from the rice, and then the heartiness from the bean, and then the creamy, cool fat from the avocado. Put some salt and pepper on that. Chef's kiss. Super simple, but tasty. So you could add these also to tacos. You could just have a bean burrito with them. You can have it as a side dish. I think they're so delicious. So if you want to, you can just garnish it with a little bit of cilantro. And there you have it, your seasoned black beans. I will leave my half recipe. Instructions and ingredients down below in the show notes. Again, I've linked the original recipe, so if you want that, you'll just double what I have written down in the show notes. If these beans sound delicious, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe for more content, and if you're looking for another delicious recipe, go ahead, click here right on screen, and I will see you guys there.